Hello and welcome to the Flame and Fiber podcast. My name is Barbara. You can find me on Instagram and Ravelry as Diva S. We have a Ravelry group for the podcast under the groups tab called the Flame and Fiber podcast group. And we have one knit-along going on there and one giveaway. We have hit our 300 subscribers on YouTube. Yay! Thank you so much for subscribing. Oh my gosh. Every subscriber is cheered in this house. Dennis hears about each one of you. And thank you so much for wonderful, wonderful, lovely comments and congratulations and messages. I really, really appreciate it. So if you're new, welcome to the podcast. I hope you enjoy it. And if you're coming back again, thank you so much. I really, really appreciate it. I'm so glad you're here. And I have fuzz on my lip. Just realized that. Or maybe it's a whisker. I can't tell. I'm getting old, you know. Anyway. I was thinking this one might be a short episode, but you already know that it's not, because as I was making my notes and things, I realized it's probably not going to be very short. And you already know how long it is, because it is that long already when you clicked on it. So anyway, thank you so much. And if you are interested in being notified when I upload, please subscribe, because I love getting subscribers. And please join our Ravelry group. And let's get started. As I said, we have over 300 subscribers, and so we are having a 300 subscriber giveaway. The prompt for the giveaway, there's a thread in the Ravelry group, and the prompt is basically, paying no attention to money or time or skill. If you could make whatever you wanted to make, what would it be? If you had all the money and all the time and all the skill to do it, what would you be making? So I've been really enjoying reading those notes, and I intend to draw for our 300 subscriber giveaway prize at the next podcast. So you have 2 weeks. I podcast every other week, and to join. And here's the prize. So excited! Dog Star Knits. Jake from Dog Star has made a Flame in Fiber colorway just for the Flame in Fiber podcast 300 subscriber giveaway. I'm so excited. And I'm a terrible podcaster. He included his card with his button and a beautiful stitch marker. And I will be making stitch markers and putting in some other, little things in the package. But isn't this gorgeous? I am so in love with this color. Needless to say, I'm going to go out of order because I want to show you. Because needless to say, I needed this yarn because I'm just crazy about it. So this is what it looks like. Caked up. And this is what it looks like knitted into socks. And this is an 80/20 BFL nylon base. And these are the squishiest socks. I am so excited. And aren't they beautiful? I love this color. So anyway, this is, and I'll go on about the socks later. So this is the prize. And I will be drawing the winner next week for the Flame in Fiber yarn. I just love it. It's funny because when I met him and he said he was going to do this, he asked me what my favorite colors were, and I said I don't have any favorite colors, but I don't know if you remember, if you watched earlier podcasts back in November, I took a dyeing class at the Neighborhood Fiber Company in Baltimore, and these were the colors of the very first skein that I attempted to dye. And I liked my yarn, but I was a little sad because I lost the yellow. It was mainly orange and red and not nearly as much yellow. And so I'm really loving this because this is way more what I had in mind. But, he's the professional. Isn't this beautiful? Oh. And it is so soft and squishy. It is not like, soft. It's BFL. It's not rustic in any way, But it does, you know, and it's squishy. It's squishy and wonderful. And I got 2 of these for myself. He does have more in the shop if you want to buy some. And I'll put a link to his Etsy shop in the show notes, which you can find in the Ravelry group. And so this is so squishy, and it's so my other skein is going to be a hat, I think, or a cowl. Oh, just so warm and squishy. Oh, I'm so excited. So anyway, so I will draw next week for the 300 subscriber giveaway prize. Thank you so much, Jake. It is so wonderful. I am so excited about it. And Jake sent another skein. And this one is called I'd Rather Be in the Bahamas. Isn't that a beautiful color? I am kind of drawn to teals these days. I don't know what it is. So this is a little bit of, not really, I guess not really teal. Kind of teal. Yeah, that's kind of teal. It's not showing up too teal in my phone, but anyway, it's beautiful. I love this. He sent this as well. So, he said I could do whatever I want with it. Well, what I really want is to keep it, but I'm not going to keep it because he has more in his shop, and I'm going to order it. But I love this, and it's in the same base, the 80/20 BFL. So I am definitely having socks out of this. I just love this. But this will be the Knit Tiny Things second quarter giveaway. We have a Knit Tiny Things knit along going on in the group. And so it's just make something small, little tiny socks, little ornaments. The point is for me to get going on making ornaments and things like that for Christmas. And I'm falling a little bit behind, but it's just June, and so I'm planning on doing better this month. But anyway, the second quarter drawing for prizes, there's only one. It's a chatter / finished objects thread in the Ravelry group, and I will be drawing a winner, and this will be the prize, plus a few things from me, some stitch markers and whatever. And this is so beautiful, so I'm so excited. I'm going to order some of this for me because I love this color too. And I love this base. Oh my gosh, these are going to be my favorite socks. My favorite socks. Aren't they wonderful? So these are my June socks. So I might as well get into the knitting because there are no finished objects. I've been knitting like a crazy woman for the last 2 weeks. And my knitting has not been particularly successful. I mean, it's been okay, but you'll hear about it. I've done a lot more knitting than I have to show for it. Let's put it that way. I think you know what I mean. But anyway, I started my June socks last night. And so I did this last night, after dinner. I just sat there and, I just like, oh, I've got to cast this yarn on. I just have to. So I did. And I am making Luli's, oops, didn't print it out. Luli's Simple Sock collection really spoke to me because I do not want to think very much about my socks. I do not want hard socks. So she has a collection out of 4 different, one is completely plain vanilla, one is kind of like a rib, and one is called the one with holes, I think it's called. Oh, I wrote it down. Socks with holes in. I love Luli. She was the very first podcast that I ever watched, realizing that it was a knitting podcast. And she's one of those ones that as soon as she has a new episode up, I go watch her. She's just lovely. And she does bags too. I have one of her bags too, which are nice. But anyway, so I'm doing socks with holes in. But I am going to do the vanilla is the new black heel in these because I like it and I think I can do it pretty well 2 at a time. I'm doing these on my new size 1 circular needles. These are the wooden ones. I don't know that I love wood for socks, but I got it at my local yarn shop, and they only had it in 32-inch. I normally get 40-inch for my 2 at a time socks, and I thought this would be, and sometimes the cords get in my way, And I thought maybe it was because they were too long, so I thought I would try with the 32 inch. I feel like I have to think about it a little more with the 32 inch. I'm always, I'm not sure if I have quite enough room. Is there such a thing as a 36 inch? I don't know. But cord management is the reason that I don't like the Addy Sock Rockets. Those cords, and I think if I had a 32 inch in that, I might be happier with them because it just felt like there's too much cord. But anyway, and they are so squishy. Oh my gosh, these are going to be amazing, amazing socks. And I love the color. I love the color. Now I realize not everybody likes orange and yellow. So, but I do. And I love this. And Flame in Fiber. Flame in Fiber is what he called it. And I love it. And so gorgeous. So gorgeous. So happy with them. So anyway, I started those last night, my June socks. I've got them in my Little Bobbins bunny bag. And I really was enjoying knitting on those last night, let me tell you. But that Flame in Fiber was not the only yarn that I bought from Jake. I also bought 2 skeins of worsted. And this is in the color Ariel. Ariel, I guess that's a Little Mermaid reference, I'm assuming. I don't know. Which is, I'm like into the teals these days. I don't know. But this was a beautiful color. And I have been wanting to make one of the shawls by Hilary Smith Callis. She does the Star Shower shawl. This is the Adama shawl. It's for worsted weight. And so I cast that on too. Another new cast on. So I am just to the point where it has been connected in the round. So now I'm knitting in the round. I'm also knitting these on my Leica. These are the Leica interchangeables, and I'm really liking them for this, let me tell you. I guess I don't feel the need to go really fast when I'm, socks, it feels like things are slowing me down, but this, these needles feel so yummy in your hands that it's just part of the pleasure. So this is a tonal yarn. I don't know if you can see. And you can see that it's got nice stitch definition. And anyway, I'm really enjoying knitting this. These are on, I'm pretty sure I'm using, I should be able to read these, right? Size 9, US size 9, which is a 5.5 millimeter needle. And from now on, it's going to be knit in the round. And when I did the letterpress shawl by Sarah Bauer, I discovered I like that sort of triangular shaped shawl, cowl so here's a schematic. You can see, it's kind of triangular shaped so that it's much wider on the shoulders. And this one you can actually pull down over your shoulders, although I suppose you could do that with a letterpress too. I like that because you just put it on and it stays. I still haven't figured out a way to wear my 3-color cashmere cowl in a way that I think looks good. To me, it just, I don't know, something about the way it lays on me that I haven't. Maybe I'm not used to it. I'm not sure, but I do like that kind of triangular shawl. There was an edit there. There better have been an edit there because I had a coughing fit. I have a cold. Oh, I got a cold. So, don't you know, Sharon, Bronx Knitter on Instagram and Bronx Knitter 1 on Ravelry, who's in Moms with Yarn podcast hostess. So she comes to knit night on Wednesday night with a cold. She's got this cold. She's like leaving the room to hack and cough. And Thursday I woke up with a cold. I'm like, Sharon, this is all your fault. And I don't know how, it must be a really virulent strain because I don't know how she did it because it's a virtual knit night and we're like 200 miles apart. But it came like through my laptop. I don't know. Anyway, it's all Sharon's fault. I'm just kidding. Obviously, it's not Sharon's fault. But anyway, knit night. I wake up the next morning. I'm like, Sharon, how did you do that? So anyway, so this is my Adama cowl. I'm really excited about it. I still want to do the Star Shower cowl too, which is a, you know, similar, it's the same shape and similar design, but for fingering weight. So that's my plan. But this is my other new cast on, this since I talked to you last. And so I'm excited about that. And this is 100% merino. I don't know what he calls this. If he has a name for this base, it's his worsted. 100% merino. And it's going to be so warm. I'm so excited. And I love the color. And I have another one. I think I'm going to need it for my cowl. At least I'm going to need some of it. But maybe I'll have enough left over for something else. I'm not sure what. So those are the two new things that I've cast on in the last 2 weeks using the Dog Star Knits yarn. Thank you, Jake, for beautiful yarn. And I will be getting some of the I Wish I Was in the Bahamas, because I do love that. And oh my gosh, those are going to be such gorgeous socks. Maybe I need a hat out of that too. I haven't made a fingering weight hat. I haven't knit a lot of hats. And, you know, we walk the dog every day in the winter, so it's not like I don't need hats. But, you know, there's some strange part of me that says, well, how many hats do you need? But who cares how many hats I need? Why am I asking myself that? I can't believe I say that in my head, but I do. So I'm going to be making more hats, I think. Because apparently I'm thinking I need more hats. My other my one work in progress that you did see before is my Fairy Hills shawl by Helen Stewart. This is the first pattern in the Shawl Society 2 that is out now. And I am making it out of Backyard Fiberworks yarn, which is completely yummy. It's an 80-20 merino silk, and it is, her base I think is called Orchard, and it is in the Trading Post colorway. I am loving the yarn, but I am ready to be done with this shawl. Let me tell you, I love Helen Stewart shawls. I love her patterns. I love what she does with her patterns. She does line by line. Look where I am. Look where I am. I just finished here. After one more row, I'm only going to have 5% to do, but I couldn't. I put it down. This is a beautiful lace, but it's a simple lace pattern. It's a 6-stitch repeat, 2 different stitches, 6-stitch repeats. And I talked about this last time. This is such a pain in the neck for me to get right. And the thing with Helen Stewart, well, and I'm sure this is true with all the shawl patterns. I mean, they design these so carefully so that you got to get them right or they don't look, you know, you can see how they're supposed to all line up. Do you see all those lifelines? See these lifelines? Can you see them? I use dental floss. See these lifelines? This lifeline down here, I had to pull, I think it was that one. Oh gosh, maybe it was this one. Could have been this one. I had to pull back to that lifeline. This one down here. My count was totally screwed up. And then something happened and I dropped a couple stitches and they unraveled and and you can't rescue that. This is my yarn. It's my ball is a little bit wonky now. I am finally back knitting fresh yarn because I knit for a long time using the yarn. I tore back to my, and the reason I had to go back that far was because I hadn't had all those lifelines. I had to tear back 14 rows to my last lifeline. I was like, and 14 rows, and these are, 380 stitches long, and they take me a long time because when I'm working the pattern, I have to pay attention to the pattern. And, it's always a relief when you get to the end of the row and you have exactly the number of stitches that she says. But you can't relax because on the rest row, which is purl your way back across, I have to count because they're sort of in sections of 3. I have to go 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, because even though I was correct at the end, that doesn't mean I did that row correctly, because in those rows I have yarn overs. There's one row that uses a slip 1, knit 2 together, pass the slip stitch over. So there are lots of places where I can mess up my count because I can forget to do a yarn over, I can forget to pass the stitch over. So I'm ready for this to be done. I love the yarn. I'm going to love the shawl. But somehow this particular shawl, this one shawl, feels a little bit like my nemesis. And but I don't have that much more to go. So I am going to finish it up, and I'm going to be glad. I hear my puppy outside the door. I just told him, I hear my puppy outside the door. Uh-oh, here's Pearl.
She's a little bit crazy.
Oh, good. Why don't you bring her in when she's a little bit crazy? Hey, pup. Hey, pup, you want to say hi? You want to say hi? Oh, my gosh. This dog, say hi. This girl has doubled her weight since we've gotten her. More than doubled her weight since we got her. She's a rascal dog. Okay, all right. Go get Dennis. Go get Dennis. Oh, gosh. She's getting better. She's a bit of a biter. Bare feet. Oh, my gosh. My toes, the best thing in the world. The best thing in the world to bite. So we've been working on that, and she's getting much better. So we do have hopes. We were a little worried that she was going to be a biter because that can't happen. You can't have a German Shepherd that bites. So, but she's getting much better, and but she does get into her wild puppy stage. But anyway, that's Pearl. She was, I think, like 7 pounds, 9 ounces when we got her on May 11th. She is now 16 and a half pounds. She is growing so fast. Oh my gosh. But she's pretty sweet when she's not biting your toes, I can tell you that. And smart, very smart, very smart. So anyway, that's my Fairy Hill shawl. And I'm almost done with it. And by the time we see each other again, I will have it finished and blocked. And I will be in love with it. And I will be over my aggravation. But when I had to tear out those 14 rows. And only 2 or 3 of them were bad, but because I hadn't put a lifeline in, there was no way. I have so much trouble recovering. So as you can see, when I went back, I put a lifeline in, and you can see on my, see, this is how far I had to tear back to. And this is where I was. I was at row 129 here, and my lifeline was up here at 113. And I had to tear that all back. But I'm almost done. See, almost close up. So that will be done next time. And I will love having that shawl. And I love the yarn. And this, this teal. I'm loving this teal. And the variegated yarn, I'm really enjoying it. And I wasn't sure about that. I've seen other people, I've been, it's nice, but I don't know. But I'm liking mine, so. It's just like anything. Once you get used to it and you think about it and you get to understand it a little bit, you like it more. That's what I've discovered. When I started lamp working, one of the classic lamp working motifs is, of course, dots. And one of the classic motifs is raised dots. And I didn't like raised dots on lamp work beads until I started lamp working and I started making dots. And suddenly, I'm interested in wearing pork beads with dots. It's how it works. That's how fashions. You know, how many times have you seen something that was like in style? And you're like, oh my gosh, what are they thinking? And you know, 6 months later, you're buying it. People are like that. I am. I don't think I'm alone. Well, speaking of things I don't want to make and probably will make in 6 months, the second shawl from the Shawl Society came out. The Sprites Fen shawl. And this is a beautiful half pie shawl. And I love the way it looks. I think it's beautiful. I am not planning on knitting this anytime soon. I really like it, but I'm not sure I like a half pie shawl. I made the snow melt from the mystery knit along from Helen Stewart, and it was beautiful, and I enjoyed making it, and I would enjoy knitting this, I am sure, but I don't know that I want to have half pie shawls. You know, I mean, it feels like way too much around my neck when I wear it like a scarf, and I think one's enough if I'm going to wear it like a shawl. So I'm not currently planning on making this. So I will see what July's shawl holds. I am on the lookout for a different shawl, so that when I finish my Fairy Hill shawl, I can start a new shawl. But I don't think it's going to be this Sprites Fen shawl. I am working on my last but not least. I am working on my Cell Gris by Claudia. Okay, just look here. Eisenkalb. Claudia Eisenkalb. And I'm making this, and I made notes. I made notes so I could tell you the name of the booth that I bought the yarn in. I bought this yarn. I bought this yarn at Maryland Sheep and Wool from the ladies who were the natural dyers. This is a 65% merino, 35% bamboo, which I think is going to be a wonderful summer sweater. I'm so excited. But the booth was called Meadow Medley. Meadow Medley. But they do not have an online presence. They just go to festivals. But I've been to their booth before at Maryland Sheep and Wool, so they're regulars at Maryland Sheep and Wool. But I love this yarn. I love the color. I guess I'm yellows and teals. Not necessarily together, although my other shawl is together. Oh, I bet that shawl will go nicely with this sweater. But anyway, so I'm working along. I have 2 skeins of that yarn. It comes in a 5 ounce, I think it's a 5 ounce put up with 500 yards. No, 4 ounces with 500 yards. This is the ticket. It's a natural dyed with Osage orange, which I'm loving. And so I started it. I talked about it last time. I was looking for something easy, and it was going to, so I wanted something bottom up so I didn't have to think yet, because that puppy is making it hard to think. So I started this, and I got to 14 inches. And I was at the end of my first ball. And this is 26 inches on the diagram for the size I was doing. And it has the sleeves. And now, you know, with the neckline, that's going to take out some space. But I had at least 2 more inches that I had to do of the body before I split for the sleeves. And then I had to do the sleeves. I was worried that I wasn't going to have enough yarn. So I was starting to think of sort of plans, you know, I could maybe find a contrasting yarn to do the ribbed sections. It's just this little flag here and then the sleeves. So I was thinking about that and whatever. So I tried on what I had knit, and it turned out it was quite roomy. Now, if I knew I had enough yarn, I probably would have kept going, because I knit 14 inches. You know, and then it would have been a roomy summer top, and it would have been fine. But since I was a little worried, quite worried about whether I was going to have enough yarn, I ended up taking it off the needles, and now I'm knitting from I'm knitting from like a sock blank. So this is what I have left of what I knit before that I haven't re-knit yet. So I'm knitting it off of this rather than reballing it, which is one reason why my stitches are looking a little wonky. That's what I'm telling myself. I do hope this doesn't look quite so wonky when I block it. But, so anyway, so I still have, 5 inches left to knit from, and I don't know how many inches I've knit, but at least 8. So I would be interested in, I do keep a tape measure in this one, because everything is do this for 3 inches and do that for 4 inches. So it looks like I've knit about 8.5 inches. So, there's a part of me that's very curious to find out. So those 14 inches on that bigger size, and so anyway, I recast it on for the next size down. And the only reason I went a size up now I'm casting, I cast on what in the pattern is my size, but my gauge swatch made me think that I needed to go up a size. My gauge swatches are big fat liars. But I was getting 28 stitches over 4 inches, and it was called for 24 stitches over 4 inches. So I thought, but whatever. I know my gauge swatches are liars, so I should check sooner. Anyway, I am luckily, really enjoying knitting this. This is I'm in charge of purl, and I need to be able to put it down at the drop of a hat knitting. So I've done my my decreases. These are, I get four rows where I'm doing decreases. And then now I've just done knit straight, and now I'm going to start my increases again. See my little stitch marker? I made that. That's one of my little flower stitch markers. So I'm just ready to start my increases again and get going with that. So I'm really enjoying knitting my Osage orange dyed wool, merino, and bamboo. So I'm hoping I have enough. May end up with a little bit shorter sleeves than I want, and I am interested in the sleeves. I mean, that's one of the things I'm looking for, because I got those old lady arms, So I think this is a new cast on. I don't think I had cast this on. I've been talking about casting it on, but I don't think I had actually done that in my last podcast. So I have 3 new cast ons for this podcast, which is it's very unusual for me. So anyway, that's what I've been knitting on. I haven't done anything on my crochet blanket, and I haven't done anything on my Monte Rosa sweater. My Monte Rosa sweater has 3 charts for every row, and I need to be able to sit quietly and have my charts spread out so I can knit it. Now, it's beautiful, and I love it, and it's going to be done for Rhinebeck. Pearl better calm down so I can finish that sweater. But so that's it for the stuff I've been knitting. And now for my goodies. I have some amazing goodies. Oh, I don't know if you can hear Dennis yelling, no. Things are falling on the floor. My first goodie is from Sharon, from the Moms with Yarn podcast. She made these gorgeous, gorgeous, gorgeous socks. Oh, I don't have these on sock blockers. Oh, well. They still look gorgeous. This is the Jewel Fair Isle pattern by Tina Whitmore. And I've never had Fair Isle socks before, so I'm very excited. But she Sharon is participating in the Biggest Loser contest that is going on in the Never Cast Off podcast. And so she's she's not buying yarn and she's trying to use up yarn. And so she was trying to use up her scraps. And this is from a Gale's Art sock blank. This sock. And isn't that beautiful? Well, she loved this one too, but she ran out of yarn. So she decided to try to pair it with this yarn, which I went on her website on her project page. It's Expression Fiber Arts, which is also beautiful, I think. But when she was done with this pair of socks, she hated them. She hated them. This is her favorite sock she ever knit, I think. But as a pair, she hated them. So she turned around and reknit this pattern with variegated gradient or something, and both socks used the same yarn, and she was much happier with that. So she was saying on midnight how much she hated these socks. I said, well, what size are you? She said size 8. I said, I'll take them. Luckily, they fit me very well, and I am so excited. So thank you, Sharon. I love these socks. Oh, and they're so squishy. You can go out on her project page. She's Bronx Knitter 1 on Ravelry and see these, and she can see the other ones that she made. But I've only made that one Fair Isle hat. I don't know, Fair Isle socks. I'm a vanilla sock knitter. I don't know why I'm even considering it. If I'm going to do Fair Isle, I'm going to do a hat, or I'm going to do a yoke, or I'm going to do something like that, because I want my socks to be pretty darn plain. Except these are so beautiful. So anyway, thank you, Sharon. So those went to a good home. I'm a good home, I promise. And I won a prize. I won a prize in the Naughty Knitwits socket for was it for May? No. It must have been for April. It must have been for April. But so anyway, so I got my choice of what I wanted. And on that episode, they had just been talking about yarn from Down Sheepy Lane, the Kingslayer colorway. And they had, Michelle had bought a few skeins, and the lovely woman there had included a skein of yarn for a giveaway, and it was called Kingslayer. And both Michelle and Leslie were like, I love this yarn. I don't want to give it away, whatever. So they ordered more of it. But it was a giveaway. And so she said, what would you like? A project bag or a skein of yarn? And I have so many project bags. Can you believe I turned down a project bag? But I have so many project bags. I don't need a project bag. And I know you're all sitting there saying, you don't need yarn either. Well, I don't need yarn either, but I won a prize. So anyway, so I said, I would love to have the Kingslayer if it's available. And she said, nah, nope, that's for a special giveaway. I'm like, too bad. So I picked this, which is also a beautiful, beautiful yarn. This is from With Pointed Sticks, Color to Write Home About. And this is a 50-50 merino silk blend. And it's in the color sea glass. Is this beautiful? And it is so shiny. And it's got purple and this green. I guess I'm getting into the greeny, tealy, whatever. But I love this. And I am going to be looking for, I'm not sure what color, maybe a purple, silky purple to go with it. In a shawl, because this baby is a shawl. A shawl in waiting. So this was gorgeous, and Michelle also sent me little progress keeper, naughty nitwits, and some teas, and a lovely note. So that was fun. So I won a prize. It's fun to run prizes. So get in the 300 subscriber giveaway thread. It's always nice to win a prize. Oh, I'll stop with that. Okay, so I really love that Kingslayer yarn that I wasn't allowed to pick for my prize, which I understand. It was special, and they're having a special thread for that. And so if you like it, you should go sign up for that. So see that came from England. So I went out to Down Sheepy Lane's website, and I bought myself some Kingslayer. And it comes in this cute little bag, and it was tied up. I obviously opened it. It was tied up with twine. It was so cute. And I ordered, and since it was coming from England, I thought, well, you know. So it comes in this nice bag. And then it came with this cute little bag, and you could tell that it used to be lovely. I tried to open it really gently, and it just made it even worse. But I did try. I guess I'm showing you the little extras first. She sent me this lovely card and a progress creeper. Now, unlike Michelle and Leslie, she doesn't know me from Adam. And so anyway, this is a Debbie Dancer. I wonder if that's her real name. But anyway, this is Down Sheepy Lane. And I also got tea and candy in my little bag. And here is my Kingslayer. Now, I have to say that Michelle's Kingslayer was darker than this. But I will say that this matches the picture that she has on her website. So Michelle was saying when she got it, I don't know why this is so amazing. I don't know why I didn't buy it. But the skein that she got had more of the colors going on than the one in the picture. The one in the picture had a lot of light color. So, as does this skein. So, I like this yarn a lot. I like it darker better. And I'm tempted to message her and say, hey, I love the yarn you sent me, but I really like it with more of the dark. Do you have one that, because they're all different. They're all different. So Down Sheepy Lane. So anyway, while I was out there, and this is the Kingslayer, which is a game, whoops, that's not going to work. I threw it on the floor. A Game of Thrones reference. So I bought 2 mini skeins. This is the Lannister minis, and this is the Kingslayer. And I don't know if you can tell, but there's a lot more of the color going on and a lot less of just the light in that mini. I'm actually going to open it. Now, this mini is on a different base. The mini is on a sparkle base, but you can see that there's just a tad more going on per yard of yarn than I think is going on in this one. So this is more like what I was hoping for. I like this, and it is exactly what she shows on her website, which is where I think I started to go and didn't actually go, because Michelle was saying I don't know why I didn't pick it. But the picture on the website is this, and what she got was more like that. And it's maybe subtle. It's a little subtle. But anyway, it's a beautiful squishy yarn. I don't know what the makeup is, and I'll get the tag. So it's 80/20 merino. That's what I got. There were other bases that you could have gotten it in. I got it in what she calls her comfy sock, because you know me, I like more wool in my socks. Although I don't know if this will be socks or not. But, and you know I'm loving these colors because apparently these are just up my alley. So anyway, so this is the Lannister minis. And then this is the Targaryen minis. So these are beautiful. So that's what I got. So I don't know. This one's growing on me too, because I really do like, you know, it's not that this isn't beautiful, this lighter stuff. It's just that the dark is what caught my eye. The stuff going on in it. A little bit higher percentage of stuff going on in it. I wonder why this color combination, I wonder why this says Kingslayer to her. Kingslayer is Jaime Lannister, who before the it's no spoiler to tell you, before the series even starts, he was the one who killed the king. That ended with his brother-in-law being king. Anyway, beautiful yarn. And so if I want something a little darker like this, I may just message her and send her a picture of what I got and see if she might be able to pick one that has a little bit more of the color going on. So that was Enabling by Leslie and Michelle of the Naughty Knitwits. Thank you, ladies. And this, I think, is very possibly a first for me. But, you know, Instagram is also very enabling. And, you know, you see beautiful things on Instagram and you go to people's shop and, you know, and I don't do that a ton. I don't actually buy a lot. I'm sure this is totally not true. But I don't really buy a lot of yarn on Etsy. Certainly not. I don't rummage around on Etsy looking for yarn and, you know, like going to places that I never, you know, been before and that kind of thing. I mean, you know, if I want something from Kristen, a Woolen Vine or whatever, of course I'm going out there to their shops, you know, if there's a specific yarn. But anyway, I was on Instagram and I follow this woman, Sandy Jones. And she is Bear Hug Fibers. And I saw this skein of yarn on Instagram. And I immediately went to her Etsy shop and bought it. And that is the first time I've ever done that. I have looked at Etsy shops because of people's Instagram. Usually, and I very rarely buy anything. But, you know, I look around and, you know, very rare. Anyway, it was like I wanted the exact skein of yarn that she showed on Instagram, and I bought it. This is 50/50 merino silk, and I think it's just gorgeous. I have no idea what I'm gonna make. Well, I gotta look at it and see sort of how do these colors. Yeah, look at that. Oh, look at this. Oh my gosh. I think I'm gonna make a star shower out of this because I want to make the star shower cowl, which is very much like the Adama cowl that I'm making, except that it is made with fingering. This is fingering. This is going to be a silky, yummy, amazing shawl or cowl or something right up around my face. But I just fell in love with those colors on Instagram and I'm like, immediately. I immediately went to Etsy and bought it. And I seriously do not think I've ever done that before. But this is gorgeous. I just loved it. Anyway, so she sent me a little note and thank you, and she sent me a beautiful stitch marker. Isn't that beautiful? And I will put a link to her shop in the show notes because Bear Hug Fibers. So I still follow her, and that could be a big mistake. That could be a big mistake for me because OMG, I am loving that. And, well, I guess two more things. Last podcast I showed you I have I got a sock blank from Andre Sunitz. This sock blank is like, goes against everything, all my normal things for this sock blank. It's 75/25, which I typically do not buy. And it's a single strand sock blank, and I normally make my socks 2 at a time. And so I decided, people have been going on and on about 9-inch circulars. And I have been interested in, I find it the idea of the afterthought everything sock to be very intriguing. And that's basically a sock where you start at the cuff, you make a cuff and you keep knitting, and you knit the length of 2 full socks, and you do a cuff, and then you bind off. And then you cut it in the middle and put toes on both ends, and you cut in heels, and everything is afterthought. It's an afterthought toe, it's an afterthought heel. I do not have the pattern. I probably won't buy the pattern. I don't know if that's crummy or not, but I already have an afterthought heel pattern. And a toe is just a toe. I mean, you cut it and put it on. Anyway, so I thought that Andre Sue's sock blank would be an excellent candidate for trying 9-inch circulars and the afterthought anything. So I'll just cast it on and just knit and just keep knitting. I keep knitting until I have 2 sock lengths and then see what I do with that. So that's my plan. And I was thinking I was going to do that for June, but then my Dog Star Knits yarn came, and that was the end of that. So I was not passing up the opportunity to knit that beautiful yarn. So maybe this will be my July plan. And actually, it would be good knitting for July. Well, I guess it doesn't matter. July. So that's the other thing I bought, was the little 9-inch Haya needles, just to see how they were. And the last thing I got, last but not least, is I got my Pom Pom magazine. This is their 5th anniversary issue. I'm sure you've seen it. It has more patterns than usual and amazing people contributing. Bristol Ivy, Joji Locatelli, Vera Valimaki. This sweater is Vera Valimaki. This issue has, I think, 5 or 6 sweaters. And I am in love with all the sweaters except 1.5. So this is the Vera Valimaki. Isn't that beautiful? Lots of cables and things like that. And that's a typical cardigan button-up, long, Then the Soiree, this is by Emily Foden. I thought that was beautiful. But it's a cropped, oversized sweater, which doesn't necessarily flatter me. Then this, I liked. It's just a kind of a simple shell. But I like a nice shell. And let's see. It doesn't say. I think this was a DK yarn. I think I looked it up. And this is by Kiyomi Bergen. And then this one I love. This is I think this is pronounced Kaylee, but I could be wrong. I've seen Kaylee spelled differently, but this is about a party. And I like that shawl. And this is Julia Farwell Clay. There's some other views of it. I just really love that. And this is a worsted weight sweater. And I got worsted weight sweaters quantities in my cupboard back there. So this is the one I don't like. That doesn't do a thing for me. I don't like the neck, that open neck. I don't know. There's nothing. And I had not a great experience knitting a sweater sideways, so that could be part of it too. That's knitted sideways. This is the Fete by Bristol Ivy. I love the shape of this sweater. I don't know about the color work thing on the front, but I do like the shape of it. And I think it looks lovely. So that's my, don't necessarily love it, but anyway. Plus there are really cute fingerless gloves by Joji Locatelli. They've got a pom-pom on the back, which I'm not that wild about the pom-pom on the back of them, but I do like the fingerless mitts. And I guess Tracy from the Grocery Girls was a test knitter for those and went on and on about how much she loved them. This is a Rachel Coopy sock. But but it's not a plain sock, which of course is no surprise. And there are a couple of really cute hats in here too. So anyway, I got my new pom-pom. And this was a lovely, lovely issue. Cute. So, congratulations to Pom Pom and their 5th anniversary. I did want to ask you one thing before I go. Oh, the other thing I did. I washed my fleece. So I'm showing you vegetable matter right away. So I don't know. I've ordered hand carders, so I'm going to be processing this fleece. I probably, I'm going to put a picture right here. That's where my wheel is now. My wheel is now sitting on top of the table and has been since I got the dog because I do not want her anywhere. She's a bit of a biter. So that wheel is going to come up here, and I'm going to be taking some me time up here away from the puppy so I can do some spinning because I do want to spin that. Most of the fleece that I bought was sent to a mill, and I will be getting pin drafted roving back from the mill. So that would be nice. I'm very excited about that. This is a Border Leicester fleece that I got at Maryland Sheep and Wool. My first fleece. Oh my gosh. So the thing I wanted to ask you, and I probably should actually be asking this on Instagram rather than on the podcast. For me, my social media presence, this podcast is my most important thing that I do as far as I'm concerned. And so one of the things that if you follow me on Instagram, you see works in progress and yarns and things like that. But I never put my finished objects on Instagram because I don't want to spoil things for the podcast. The podcast is the main thing. And if and a lot of podcasters will say, if you follow me on Instagram, you've seen this, and they show their thing and they just go on and it works for them. And I guess my question to those of you who follow me on Instagram is, how do you feel about that? Would you rather I not show my finished objects on Instagram, or would you be happy to see them? I do know that Instagram feeds are very erratic. I mean, I'm seeing things 3 days after they're posted, and so probably wouldn't see half the thing. You probably don't see half the things I post anyway because of the way the feeds work. So anyway, I've been thinking about, so which means that my Instagram feed, which isn't, my Instagram account is a knitting account as far as I'm concerned. It's not nearly as interesting, I think, as it could be. Not that my photos are anything to write home about. I'm not a particularly good photographer. But, I could have more content in my Instagram feed if I were showing more of what I was doing and talking more about what I'm knitting. I love seeing people's finished things on Instagram. And so I guess, I'm just curious if any of you who follow me on Instagram have an opinion on whether or not it's a problem for you if I start showing my finished objects on Instagram. After I've shown them on the podcast, I very rarely go back and think about putting them on Instagram after the fact. Instagram feels sort of like of the moment kind of a thing to me. So like when I finish it, show it, waiting a week and then putting it on a podcast and waiting a few days till people have a chance to see it and then showing it on Instagram seems a little weird to me. So, because that's not what I'm doing now, which is a little bit what Instagram is about, right? So anyway, if you have an opinion on whether or not I should be continuing what I'm doing now, which is not putting my finished objects on Instagram so that they're surprises. I mean, but it's, very rarely is it really a surprise because usually it's been a work in progress. So, and anyway, I'm thinking about starting to show my finished objects on Instagram, and I would like to know what you think about that. And I think that's everything I have on my, I actually wrote today because I was trying to, not forget things. I want to again thank Jake from Dogstar Knits for the beautiful prizes, and there are buttons and progress keeper from him as well. I'm assuming I can find them downstairs. If I can't, I apologize. So 300 subscriber giveaway. I'm drawing that next time. And Knit Tiny Things giveaway. It's time to draw for June, for the second quarter, and that's what this is going to be. And I'm going to do that at the next podcast too. So there will be prizes on the next podcast. And thank you so much, Jake. Oh my gosh. And I'm telling you, I can tell you from experience, knitting with this is a dream. And his worsted is wonderful too, because I'm doing that too. So anyway, thank you again, Jake. I really appreciate it. And thank you, everybody who has subscribed. And if you haven't subscribed and want to make my day, please subscribe. And I hope you all have all the time you need to do all the crafting that brings you joy. And I will talk to you in a couple weeks. Bye.